Howdy YouTube, today we're going to talk about the performance of the X220 before and after the Meltdown patch. Okay, I got a cough drop. So, yeah, Intel stated it caused a 5% to 30% performance difference. Also, they also said that it might go back as 1995, so pretty much you're gonna have this bug if you have an Intel CPU. And you might have even worse problems if it's a pre-Westmere CPU. So if it doesn't have, it's not like a Core i or something, it might be more than 30% for some applications. So I originally wanted to see what the effects would be on my Core Duo T60 due to its lack of process content ID, but unfortunately I haven't been able to get the patch to work with that. Last I checked, which was last night, January the 4th, the Debian developers did not patch the 686 PAE kernel, only the AMD 64 versions. I changed the sources to Debian testing and installed the 4.14 kernel as well, but it also didn't seem to have page table isolation, and this broke the USB for some reason. Okay, so one good thing though, it had a newer version of i3WM, so they had like a nicer font that was prettier, or default font. I'm sure you can change the font. So now to my X220. It was having some problems for a while. It would occasionally just like die or black out. I thought it was the RAM at first, so I swapped in some like 2GB sticks instead of the 4GB ones I had in there, and it did make it a little bit better. And I started using it again, and I put Core Boot on it too. Because originally, one of the reasons I stopped using my X220 is when it would black out, it would in fact you'd have to pull the CMOS battery here. You'd have to open it up, pull that out to get it to start again. So with Core Boot, it didn't have that problem. So if it did black out randomly, I could just shut it off and power it back up. But yeah, this motherboard is defective. So I replaced this one with an i5 I bought off eBay for like $27, and I had it all replaced in about 2 hours and put Core Boot on it. Where's that Raspberry Pi? Yeah, it's pretty simple. I think I got a hold of the Chinese junk flash clip this time. So now to, I guess, the main reason people are going to watch this video. So how does the X220 run with Meltdown patched? Well, from a user experience, it runs about the same for the most part. At least on Debian and presumably other distributions with binary package managers, and I heard there were some nightmarish compile time issues. But I haven't really tested that on my X220. I have a... And next time I compile Core Boot or something, I'll give an update on that. Oh my god. Yeah. So, during the testing I did, I used Debian Stable with the 4.9.0/5 kernel, and used PTI equals off in the grub config to disable page table isolation, or in other words, disable the patch. So at first I used sysbench to calculate prime numbers, and the times were very similar, the unpatched system and the patch system, with the patch system being slower by 0.5%, but it was slower due to outliers where certain calculations would take like 50% longer. And me being an idiot, when I went to test the next benchmark, I accidentally I 1 greater than sign instead of 2. So with that, it overwrote the entire file. So I lost the data for one, and then there's like no reason to keep the data for the other. So anyways, another thing about that though was I talked to some anon who is known on YouTube as ITT Fammy, which does some interesting PowerPC hardware videos and some other really cool stuff. And he told me that the cache was the most affected. So I went back with different benchmarking software and used stressng and ran all the CPU cache tests with a total 1 minute benchmarking time, which probably should have been longer, but it does tell me some interesting data. So with the patch, it was slower with all the tests. Everyone was slower. Most by like a few percentage points or even 5%, but with the one test, the iCache test, it was 50%. And that means like 50% slower. So the patch system for certain programs would run 50% slower, I guess. So maybe that's unrealistic since it is a stress test, but still, it's a little bit, I guess, horrible. So, I guess, in summary, depending on what you're doing with your X220, you might notice it.